Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, and welcome to Tonight in America. It looks like we've had some problems with our audio. There we go. All right. So, looks like we had a little problems with our audio, and I'm glad we're back. It looks like we've had some problems with our audio. There we go. Well, sometimes that happens with live broadcasts. Well, folks, welcome tonight. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Thank you for joining me from the United States of America, Canada, and those of you around the world who continue to fight for freedom and for liberty. I want to get right to a few of the issues that are being discussed at the dinner table here across America. One of the most recent issues that is beginning to surface are letters that General Milley, remember General Milley of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff with the United States military, apparently he was ready to resign after President Trump had asked him to walk across the street from the White House to Lafayette Square to St. John's Church during the disturbances that were taking place in Washington. Well, the general did not want to do that. He felt that it was improper. So as a result, when he went back to the White House, it has been reported that he was fuming, that he was upset, and that he could no longer obey the orders or listen to the direction of the President of the United States, who's his commander-in-chief. Well, General Milley apparently wrote a letter of resignation. He never turned it in. And after discussing the issue with some people, he decided that he would stay and he would fight President Trump on the inside rather than from the outside. Now, all of what I am telling you is somewhat public now. It's not as public as it's going to be very soon, but as soon as you hear about it, you'll know that what we're sharing with you is absolute fact. Now, I bring this particular issue up for this reason, folks. General Milley, during his discussions with people and in his letter to President Trump, apparently made it clear that he was upset over the fact that President Donald Trump was, in Milley's words, politicizing the United States military. He felt that the United States military should not be politicized by any political leader, let alone the President of the United States. So that was Milley's reason for wanting to resign. So my question to General Milley is this: where are you now? The President of the United States, Joe Biden, is destroying our military, decimating the morale and welfare of our military. General Milley, President Biden has introduced to the United States military, who you purport to protect from politicians, he's introduced wokeness. He's introduced policies of weakness. He is absolutely a disgrace, this president. And what do? You spend time writing letters about resigning when President Trump was in office because, in your words, from what I understand, at least close to your words, you were concerned about President Trump politicizing the United States military. When in fact, we have enough evidence over the past year and a half that you're working for a president that's doing exactly what you criticize President Trump for doing. Except President Trump was looking to strengthen the military, to fund the military, to keep the military strong. We got a president now who's destroying the military. That's why, General Milley, you should resign. You really should. You can't play two ends against the middle. You're either going to be for a strong military without any politician interfering with the rank and file, interfering with the mission of the military, or you're not going to support anybody. My point is, when I was in the military, the purpose of your military was to fight and win wars, not to nation build, not to sit in classrooms and talk about, well, how about we refer to this male general as maybe it or maybe the. No him, no her, no he or she, but something that would not offend that person. This is the time that military men and women in the United States Armed Forces are spending in classrooms. Now we got to worry about, well, we got to have 3 types of bathrooms now on ships for the Navy and on military bases. You got the male bathroom, you got the female bathroom, but then you got the middle bathroom where anybody could go. But that's too expensive, so maybe we'll just let anybody go wherever they want. That's what's happening to the U.S. military and, by the way, corporate America, and on and on and on and on. I was told just last week that here in the United States, there are colleges that have notified the parents of their children going to college. You know, the dream of sending your child to college, the dream of paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to send your child to college to get a good education. Parents are being notified that their daughters, for example, may end up sharing a room with a man. Think about that, folks. Think about that one. A strange man your daughter will be spending time with, or a strange woman your son will be spending time with. Sleeping in the same room. Not just doing studies, I'm talking about sleeping. So this is how far we've gone with regard to the morality and the welfare of not only our military, but the entire darn country. And why has this happened? Because the very people who are supporting the Democrat Party of the United States are electing these people over and over and over again. And so to you, mom, who cries and whines that, oh, something ought to be done, you voted for Joe Biden. You're a Democrat. You voted for a party that left you a long time ago and embraced the ideology of Marx, Lenin, and Stalin. That's what you did, mom. That's what you did, dad. And every single Democrat across this country, that's what you did before. That's what you're doing again. Every single day I pick up a newspaper or a publication and I'm appalled, absolutely appalled over reading about union after union after union, the teachers union, some police unions, the carpenters, the iron workers, all those who are working, I mean, really working hard to keep this country strong. Your union leaders are endorsing the very people who are going to destroy your life, destroy your jobs, put you on the unemployment line. You imagine there was this Beto O'Rourke. Remember Beto? You know, he's the guy now running for governor of Texas. Just last week, he goes out and says, how dare parents tell teachers on what they're going to share and teach their children? How dare those parents? You've got no say. A teacher's job is to teach, not yours, really. It happens to be the taxpayer dollars that are paying the teachers to teach our children what we feel they need in order to advance in this world. In my view, children don't need to hear about he should be called her should be called she, and on and on and on. Children don't need that. Children don't need to hear about and to be taught about transgenders. I've always said, and I'll always take this position, none of my business, none of the government's business. If you're transgender, it's your business. If you're gay, it's your business. If you're a lesbian, it's your business. And on and on and on. It's not the government's business. But your special interest groups are making it my business. Because I, like millions of Americans, are tired, sick and tired of having this garbage dumped down our throats. Sick of it. I don't care. And I'll tell you, I believe the overwhelming majority of Americans don't care what your lifestyle is. That's your business. But you're making it everybody's business because there's these ridiculous, stupid agendas. Doing what? What are you gaining? I have friends who are gay. They're good people. They work hard. They've told me they don't want any part of this publicity or supporting these agendas. They've told me live and let live. And that's the way we should all react. Live and let live. The United States military, all the years I've been in, folks, has never had a problem with racism. Now, of course, you got pockets here and pockets there of people who are racist. Of course you do. But systemic racism in the military, I never saw for my whole career. I saw the United States military being the model organization to give everybody the opportunity to get where they want to go professionally. And I'll guarantee you speak to black people who are in the military, white people in the military, Hispanic, whatever ethnicity they are, they'll tell you the same thing. I have a friend of mine who knows someone who is a black male who years ago, was admitted into the United States Air Force Academy. I believe maybe the first African-American admitted into U.S. Air Force Academy. And he has reportedly told people, what is everybody complaining about? Look, we had a struggle, but look how far we got. It's talking about, or I'm talking about, treating everyone equally. Yeah, I was one of the few people on the city council here in New Jersey who voted against gay activists wanting to fly a rainbow flag. I'll tell you that a lot of people don't know that. I voted against it. I voted against gay activists wanting us to sign a proclamation declaring their day in June as some special day. And I did that based on a couple of reasons. And I explained it, I articulated it at our city hall meeting, and here's what I said. We have a flag. We have a flag that is non-discriminatory. We have a flag that represents straight people, gay people, that represents black people, white people, all kinds of people. We have a flag that gives us all equal opportunity under the law. We have a flag that we can fly every single day proudly because it represents all of us, no matter who we are or where we're from. And that flag is right here. Old Glory. And by the way, this flag in Canada, guess what? It represents the same freedoms and liberties that Old Glory represents. So we don't need to fly a rainbow flag. And by the way, and I know this is going to light up some people, I do somewhat within me object to the rainbow being a symbol of anything that is man-made. Because the rainbow to me is a religious symbol. It is a symbol of a covenant between God and mankind, that he would never destroy the earth again by a flood. Read it. It's in Genesis. So, but I didn't base my argument on that. I didn't go down the religious road. I went down the civic road. I went down the secular road. That's what this flag and that flag represents. Then we got to the document. Well, you need to sign a proclamation because it'll be a special celebration, a special day to celebrate gay rights. We have a document that doesn't celebrate white rights, black rights, this right, that right, gay rights. We have a document that celebrates everyone's rights, all rights. And the document was signed in 1787, and it's called the Constitution of the United States. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence. We have a flag, we have a document. What else do you want? But you see, in America, what we've done is we're beginning to build walls, folks. We're beginning to build walls. We're beginning to fall into the trap of dividing everyone based on race, color, and creed. Isn't that ironic? We want to fight. We want to fight the walls that are being built between us, and yet we have the government sanctioning the building of walls so they can please everyone. Now, the minority community in America, I've worked with minorities all over this country, especially all over this state when I was a police officer. I just don't get it. Why any minorities, whether it be African Americans or the Hispanic communities, Latino communities, why would you want to support Democrats? You know, in the 1970s, I remember this because that's when I was really getting involved as a young man in politics. In the 1970s in America, we were discussing with minorities across America the same issues we're discussing today. And every election cycle, the same Democrat Party would come along and tell the minorities across the country, don't worry about it, we're going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. We tell the poor people, black, white, or whatever, don't worry about it, we're going to take care of you. And all those poor people and black people and white people and everyone who was really shot down on the economic levels of this nation voted Democrat because they were promised that they would be given opportunities that they didn't have. But instead of being given opportunities, they were given money. They were given money in grants, in welfare, in social programs. They were given so much money and so many benefits that they, whether they were black, white, or whatever, those people were dependent on the government. And when you're dependent on the hand that's feeding you, you're going to be required to vote for them and support them. I thank God there are a lot of minority communities around America, community leaders who are waking up. And I'm not saying you have to be a Republican. My goodness, we've made promises that we haven't kept, and we got to deal with that. But my point is that the very party that's destroying America right now is not the Republican Party. It's not an independent party. It is the Democrat Party. So here we have a president of the United States who has destroyed our energy independence to a point where we are, get this now, where we are buying oil and in some cases selling oil, it's going back and forth, to China. The country that's going to go to war with us if we don't shape up. Think about that. So here we're having what I call the oil exchange between the United States and China. When in America, we don't have enough oil and gas to fuel our cars and houses. Then we've got $800 million, maybe it's now in the billions, going to Ukraine. Now let's talk about that a little. Joe Biden's war, Joe Biden's Vietnam, and Joe Biden's Afghanistan. I said this on the air the other night on a national broadcast, that Joe Biden flies one flag, and that's a white flag of surrender. He has surrendered Afghanistan. He's in the process of surrendering Israel. He has surrendered just about every free nation on this earth. He has jeopardized the national security of NATO. I don't know what those guys are doing. They got to be out of their minds getting involved in this situation with us. Joe Biden has created a worldwide, you want to talk about epidemics, folks? He's created a worldwide epidemic. He has emboldened our enemies, emboldened terrorists. People are fighting all over the place. They're fighting in Somalia. Last week, the Serbians are beginning to fight in Kosovo again. The Iranians are doing their thing in the Middle East. They're fighting all over the place. The Chinese, they're ready to invade Taiwan. Probably we will before November. On and on and on. And I get criticized because I try to the best of my ability, based on what I read and what I evaluate, and based on me connecting the dots, I try to the best of my ability to draw some logical conclusion, which would pretty much tell the American people, well, here's where we're at and here's where we're going. And my point is, folks, is that all of what we are seeing happen in this country today is a result of a president of the United States of America, Joe Biden, who is, in my view, unfit for office and has created, not only for this country, but for the entire planet, a very, very, very dangerous situation. And then to top all this off, we have our eyes open on the southern border. What do you hear about on the news? Well, we're going to build a wall, not build a wall. The Department of Homeland Security is adding men, taking men and women away. The caravan's coming. They're going to invade the United States. Meanwhile, our eyes should be on the northern border as well as the south. Meanwhile, we've got an individual named Justin Trudeau in Canada who has truly advanced his country very, very close to adopting, full speed ahead, adopting and embracing, without anybody asking questions, the communist ideology brought to us by Marx, Lenin, and Stalin, supported by the Chinese Communist Party. Finally, Americans are waking up, and they're beginning to see and realize what's going on in that northern border. But I wish some of our politicians would stand up and speak out louder and louder. Because what is going to happen if, in fact, Justin Trudeau succeeds in what he's trying to do, and I don't believe he will succeed, believe me, we in the United States of America will have a clear and present danger north of our border. A very clear and present danger. So what's going on, folks? What do we need to do? That's the question that I'm always asked. We need to do what we're doing. We need to stand strong. We need to get involved. We need to educate and empower people. That's what Campaign America does. That is what our mission is, to educate and empower people. And that is what we're doing on the air and in other spheres of influence that we have. Now, look what's happened here with regard to the New York City and the Washington, D.C. mayor. Both of them, both of those mayors, during the time that Joe Biden and the governors who are Democrats said, we are going to support sanctuary cities. We love illegal immigrants. You come and we'll take care of you. Come one, come all. New York City's open. Washington, D.C. is open. You all come to our city, we'll take care of you. How dare those Republicans and how dare those people who purport to be American patriots say they don't want sanctuary cities? The point is, folks, those who didn't want sanctuary cities, including me, by the way, we don't want to hurt anybody, but we don't want to see the people in our communities hurt. We don't know what the backgrounds of a lot of these illegal immigrants are. We don't know if they're criminals, if they're rapists. We don't know if they've got diseases as a result of not having proper health care in their countries. Don't we have a right to know that? Hey, look, you get them all checked out. All right, you get them all checked out, and you make sure that they come through the country legally. You see, there's the key. You get them reprocessed, and you come through the country legally. Well, you don't need sanctuary cities. They'll be welcome. They'll be welcomed all over the country, as they have been since the day the United States of America was founded. Bring me your tired, says the plaque that's on the Statue of Liberty. Bring me your lost. Bring me anybody who needs freedom. We're still an open country for that, but we're also a country of laws. But here we go again. The Democrat Party said, the heck with the laws. You come to our cities, and we'll make things happen. Well, Governor Abbott and a few other governors, Governor DeSantis and others around the country, took the New York City mayor and the Chicago and the Washington, D.C. mayor up on that offer. And they began to bus hundreds of illegal immigrants to New York City and to Washington, D.C., and I believe even some to Chicago. And in addition to that, they said more are coming. Well, now after a couple of weeks, the New York City mayor and the Washington, D.C. mayor are quite upset. They're begging for help from Washington. How dare you send these people to our city? How dare you do that? You're a sanctuary city, for goodness sakes. You were bragging about that. You think you're only going to get a dozen? You can get hundreds or maybe thousands by the time it's over. Washington, D.C. mayor begged folks for the National Guard, for the United States military to go into D.C. and to help her handle the problems she is facing with regard to illegal immigrants. And by the way, and I'm not blaming the illegal immigrants on the crime surge. I'm blaming the politicians for the crime surge in Chicago, in D.C., and New York. Because while you got your police resources and police forces trying to address the illegal immigrant problem, and of course your sanctuary city issue, criminals are running rampant. 37% increase in July of crime in the city of New York. The blood continues to flow in Chicago on every street of that city. People are getting stabbed, beaten, shot, thrown into subways, railroad tracks in New York City every day. Doesn't matter if you're young, old, or whatever, you're going to get your head kicked in by some criminal somewhere. And it's going on and on and on. And the mayor of New York is just crying. We need help. How did this happen? And what really gets me, folks, is that today the mayor of New York says the policies, these ridiculous policies of bail reform and ridiculous policies of crime reform and defund the police and on, they got to stop. That's what's hurting us. He's one of the guys that supported those policies. He's one of those mayors that did not, and to this day, doesn't speak out against Joe Biden and those policies. Mayor, call him out by name. You won't call him out by name because you don't have the courage that every cop in your city has. You don't have the guts. You don't have the stamina. In fact, Mayor, I'm going to say something that maybe nobody else has said to you. It's time for you to resign. And I think and believe all you citizens in New York City who are watching this, you need to get a petition out and you should get 1 million signatures and you should demand that mayor resign. he is way over his head. He has no idea on how to handle crime in his city. Well, Lieutenant, what do you propose? Just like I was asked last week by a news host asked me, well, if you were mayor of New York, what would you do? Number one, get rid of bail reform. You get arrested, you're going to jail, and you're going to stay in jail until you go on trial. And if it takes a year or 2 years, that's your problem, not mine. You're going to stay in jail. Number two, mandatory sentencing is something we need. Don't give liberal judges any more chances to free violent criminal offenders. You commit a crime, you take somebody's life, you're going to prison, or you're going to get the death penalty. Now, they've outlawed the death penalty, I know, but you know what? You can't have it, you can't have it. But you could go to prison for the rest of your life without parole. When it comes to drug dealers, now I believe that young people and others who get hooked on drugs, you know what? They've got some problems, medical issues. I would deal with that in a different way. But drug dealers, those bringing that garbage into the city, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. You got to be tough. You got to be strong. And let me tell you something else. You hit a cop, you better watch out. You strike a police officer like you did years ago, you're going to be in very, very serious trouble. That's what needs to be done. You meet force with force within the framework of the law. I'm not talking about police brutality. I'm talking about using the force that the law gives you to deal with criminals. I would do away with the his, he, she, and all that training. And I would make absolutely sure that our police officers in that city would enforce the law the way that they should enforce the law, with the backing of their political leaders. That's what I would do. That's why I would never get elected. Because I would stand on the Constitution, and I would make absolutely sure that the rights of the people would be protected, and that victims, or at least potential victims of crime, would be protected. And by the way, there would be no mask mandates and no vaccine mandates. That would be up to you, not up to the government. See, I would never get elected. It wouldn't happen. But who knows down the road? Maybe not New York City, maybe somewhere else. So now you got those who are pleading and who are begging for the National Guard and for, oh my goodness, the world is coming to an end. Remember, they're the people that supported the very policies that they're being victimized by. The hypocrisy of it all. And you know what the end result is? Democrats, who are hardworking people in this country, just like those of us who are Republicans, at the end of the day, we want to believe we're all Americans. I believe true Americans, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever, who stand on the Constitution and who believe in individual rights, I believe we're all together on those issues. But what I don't understand is how anybody who calls themselves an American patriot could vote for the very people who are taking their individual rights away, for the very people who are taking their jobs, taking food off the tables of their homes, food out of the plates of their children. I don't get it. I don't get it. But this is what Joe Biden did and continues to do as of today or tomorrow. When he signs, or when the Senate passes a bill that is really a rerun of the Build Back Better bill, it's a bill that has something to do with billions of dollars into fighting storms and clouds and all kinds of climate issues. It's a bill that's involved in increasing taxes. It's called the Inflation Act, I believe it is. I don't even know what it's called. I'm not interested in it anymore. All I know, it's going to cost me money. Reduce the Inflation Act. That's what they call it. In other words, they're going to reduce inflation by raising our taxes, by taking our jobs, and by creating more havoc across the planet. And you're going to vote for them. You're going to support the congressmen. You're going to support the senators. You're going to support your local representatives who are falling all over Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. And you're going to go broke. Believe me. In the 1920s, we had a depression in America. Don't think that cannot happen again. In 2008, we had a near collapse of our economic system. And now it's 2022. So we're either going to have a repeat of 2008 or a repeat of 1929, I think it was. But it's coming. American people better wake up. You got a chance in less than 100 days, in less than 90 days, to completely annihilate, decimate, and destroy the people who support the woke agenda in the United States Congress. And that's up to you. And then we get to our buddy George Soros. I was on a national TV broadcast. In fact, we actually posted it, folks. You could see it on one of our platforms. And we started talking about George Soros. And I kind of got people really upset, really upset. I mean, really upset based on some of the mail I got. When I suggested that George Soros should be put on the terrorist watch list. How dare you say that? That's what people say. How dare you say that? George Soros, why would you want to put him on the terrorist watch list? Because in my view, and for you fact checkers, I'm not saying it's fact. In my view, George Soros is a terrorist. Well, he's never firebombed anybody. He's never hurt anybody. Listen, he's hurt a lot of people. And as I explained on television, folks, you don't have to be one who has a weapon like a firebomb or a gun or some sort of violent instrument in your hand to be called a terrorist, because you could fund terrorists. Now, if you are the funder of a terrorist, doesn't that make you a terrorist? Well, that's my view. That is my view. Now, so here, George Soros has loads and loads of foundations and all kinds of organizations. He has one here called Air America Radio. Well, that's gone. That's defunct. That was a self-identified liberal radio network. The Alliance for Justice, best known for its activism and the appointment of federal judges that we now know, folks, are judges who are very, very liberal and woke. America Coming Together. Get a load of these names. America Coming Together. Soros played a major role in creating this group, whose purpose was to coordinate and organize pro-Democrat voter mobilization programs. That isn't America coming together. That's communists coming together, for goodness sakes. And then America Votes. He played a major role in creating this group. Get out the vote. Campaign for who? Democrat candidates. So when here's one, America's Voice. This open borders group seeks to promote comprehensive immigration reform that includes a robust agenda in favor of amnesty for illegal aliens. Folks, I could go on and on and on. Unbelievable. All of these names here, they're attractive. The American Institute for Social Justice, the American Library Association. Get a load of this, folks. They want to put in the library all of their groups that support, books and periodicals, all of their groups that support those things that are not in the best interest of the United States. Folks, here's the list. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. Maybe we'll publish it at one point. My point is this. That is why I call George Soros a terrorist. Simple as that. You hear that, George? Now, George, and of course his followers, so I'm sure some of them listen, maybe watch, maybe they don't. You got all the money in the world to do what you want, you've done it. But what you don't have is the majority of the hearts, souls, and spirits of everyone across this planet who loves freedom and liberty. And George, you need to look at history, because every single tyrant like you who has funded organizations and agendas that went after the individual rights of people, they ended up losing and the people ended up winning. You look at Hitler, you look at Stalin, you look at Marx, you look at Lenin, and I could go up and down that list. And you're going to be looking at yourself in the mirror, because one way or the other, the people of this world are going to do what they must do to support their individual rights and freedoms within the framework of the law. Some of those people were overthrown. Some of those people, a war ended them. But most of them, they were sent to the farm and faded away in old age. And that's what's going to happen to you, George. You're going to spend maybe a few more $1 million on a farm where you're just going to be looking at the sky every day, wondering what the heck happened to you. Because the people of this planet are now saying enough is enough. And we've always advocated and will still advocate, you work within the framework of the law, you're going to win. Work outside the framework of the law, we're going to lose. No riots, no violence, no threats of physical violence, none of that. We don't need to do that to win, because then it is a loss. What we need to do is to work within the framework of the law that God has given us the ability to use as foundation for our countries. And we win, and they lose. So there you have it, folks. What time is it? Well, let's see. Time is now 7:37. So that's about it tonight. I wanted to share these things with you. And this is what we do. We educate people. We inform them. And by the way, when we start posting this stuff in our library, we're going to talk to you about that in coming weeks. We've got an online library and bookstore that's going to be up online, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And you're going to be able to get a lot of this information there. We want you to take this information and to discuss it and share it with people in your communities and your family. Now, here's what we're going to do regarding Canada. And I'll announce this and talk about this more on Thursday night. We're going to be concluding very soon Project Maple Leaf. We've got enough information now. We've got enough resources and enough of what we need in order to build documents that will be very, very concise but informative to educate and to empower the leaders here in America and a lot of the leadership who do not support Trudeau in Canada and other leaders around the world as to what in the world is going on there and why we need to address, or at least help the Canadian people to address that issue. And tonight, as well as during the week, I'm calling upon American pastors and church leaders. I know thousands of you watch. I'm asking you to get in touch with me because I'm going to invite you to a private invite-only meeting online. We're going to Zoom this meeting with some Canadian pastors who will share with you exactly what happened to them and why they need your help. You know, in the 1700s, the people who led the charge for our country, the creation of America, were church pastors. And from that day on, they continued to lead the fight. They didn't get themselves entangled in the politics. They just led the fight for freedom and liberty from behind the pulpits, out on the streets, wherever they could. When Ronald Reagan ran for office, the Reverend Jerry Falwell, with moral majority, led that fight, along with hundreds, if not thousands, of pastors. President Donald Trump had the same group of people behind him: pastors, church leaders, rabbis, priests. We need that now. Because we have an individual in the White House who doesn't support freedom and liberty, doesn't mean we the people can't stand up and do what was done back in the 1700s and the 1980s and during the time Trump was president with regard to standing up, organizing, and supporting freedom and liberty around the world. So soon you're going to see a posting, if not tonight, tomorrow, that will be directed to every pastor and church leader across America. You're going to be asked to contact us, and if you're watching now, you see that campaignforamerica.com, go right to that website, you'll see a contact bar, contact me. Leave your phone number and your email, and we'll send you an invite to that meeting, which we're going to have hopefully within the next 6 or 8 weeks. We've got to work with the Canadian pastors to have them on this Zoom meeting. And if we have to have 5 or 6, a dozen, 2 dozen, we're going to do it. We're going to share with you exactly what has happened to them and what may very well happen to you. Because the first objective of the Chinese Communist Party, in fact, communists everywhere on this earth, is to take away from the people a belief in God, a faith in a divine force, a belief in God Almighty. They want to take it, folks. They want to take it from Christians and Jews and every freedom-loving, God-fearing person on this planet. And I don't think it's coincident that the first targets have been the United States of America and Canada, where the strength of religious liberty stands in both our nations. So we're going to aggressively move forward, and we're going to aggressively address the Chinese Communist Party like never before. We're going to campaign across America doing that. And at the same time, we're going to begin to step up our educational programs and our programs to empower people to help the Canadian people preserve their individual rights and liberty. But we're going to need the help of the men and women of God, church leaders, not just pastors. You can be in any leadership position in your church. Contact us. We'll share with you how you can become part of that briefing. In fact, it's going to be a national security briefing specifically for those in church leadership positions, with special focus on Canada. Because as I've said over and over again, under Trudeau, Canada is becoming a threat, at least in my view, to the national security of the United States of America. And since that's the case, we as American citizens have every single right to stand up and to address that situation on our side of the border. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, when we air Tonight in Canada. But thank you for joining Tonight in America. And remember, campaignforamerica.com. Now, folks, I'm going to ask you, the part that I don't like. I'm going to ask you if you can help us out with a financial contribution. If you go to campaignforamerica.com, you'll see where it says donation bar. We've had people send us $2, $5, $10. It doesn't matter, folks. You take care of your family first. Take care of your bills. But as you see how active we are now and how we're growing, obviously we're going to need some financial support. And that's it. So thank you so much, folks. God bless you. God bless freedom-loving people around the world. And remember, I'll tell you, folks, through faith, through prayer, through working within the framework of the law, we win. All right, listen to this. See, we and other countries, we're going to have their flags up here soon. We win. There's the maple leaf. Okay, you can see that, folks. There's all glory. We win, and they lose. God bless you. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers.